ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, ain't gonna hide, gonna let all the fears slide. Got mother nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Odyssey of Truth. I am, of course, again here with Campbell, and Campbell's here with I. And we are recording Odyssey of Truth number 8, and we're going to call it Imagination's Playland. We touched base on this a little bit in number 7 when we did Cuckold of Currency or Cuckold by Currency. And basically what we discussed at the time was how important your imagination is and how you make your life through what you decide is real for you. Hello, Campbell.
How you going, Lorenzo? Yes, imagination, hey? The best nation to be in. Oh, there's my cat. Yeah, this is the thing with imagination. I mean, it's obviously something very powerful because those who want to be in control of us don't want us accessing our imagination. When we go to school, the first thing is don't daydream. Get rid of your imaginary friend. They don't exist anymore. Look at the front, and whatever answer I give you, you need to repeat. There can't be any thinking in here. There can't be any imagination, right? And this is what they do. And then, as we grow up, we're taught not to use it, right? Everyone's going to give us our thoughts and our opinions. And then we get the TV. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. When you're in front of a TV, it's thinking for you. And people will literally say this, I've worked all day, I just want to turn off in front of the TV, right? And what are they turning off? Their imagination, which is their power, which is them. So, yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be brought back.
We tied it into Cuckold by Currency in that it is whatever you imagine that can become possible for you. So even more so than just, killing a part of yourself, they say that you grow out of. Now that you're an adult, you don't have, as Campbell just said, imaginary friends. Or now that you're an adult, that's not a rocket ship, that's a stick. Or, that's not a giant, that's just a twig. It is way beyond something that you use for playing, even though playing is probably the biggest power that we have. It is attached directly to your creative abilities and what you can make for your life and what's possible for your life, even on a day-to-day basis, what you can bring into your life. Like, let's say you're looking for a new job, or you're looking for a new relationship, or you're looking for some health that's eluded you, or you're looking for a new place to live, or you're looking for even a different way to see reality, in how you can spend your days, what you do with your time. I mean, literally, as they say, imagination is endless. And I could talk about all the abilities that imagination can give you, and you can imagine away from yourself as well, just by talking about imagination. So even though it's a very small word, and again, as Campbell said, which nation do you want to be in imagination? It is probably the biggest topic of topics in its way that we've ever touched base upon, because everything we've done, even though we're probably at number 16 or 20 of our Odyssey of Truths, if you look at it, they're all underpinned or underlaid or supported by your imagination or lack therein of whatever topic we happen to be discussing at the time.
Yeah, I mean, imagination is also like it's freedom, right? Because the system literally it stands for not using your imagination. Because we know the people who use their imagination, they're immediately on the fringe, right? Artists, all these sort of arty types, and people who see reality differently and try and live it differently, they're all put on the outside and shunned. And that just shows you that all of society is really all about shutting down our imagination. And that's because when you imagine things, you create. Like, we're creators, and this is our biggest power, is we recreate our experience. And so if they can control, what we think, right, I don't know, putting, a conflict in Europe all over the news 24/7 and telling you what your point of view about that conflict is. If they can do that, then we create what they want, and we lose our power to create the life, that we want to interact with.
So, the pussy's going off, so to speak, but it is, what, in my opinion, why they've done what they've done over the last couple of years, the viral shenanigans, even more so than trying to get whatever poisons they're trying to get inside you, or whatever they're trying to do with your monetary, currency, or whatever they're trying to do with your shopping habits or your schooling habits or your family habits. It's all about changing how you view the possibilities for yourself or your imagination. So if you have everyone saying, through their imagination, you have to do this or you can't do that, anyone can fill in their own blanks through what they've experienced over these last few years and how it's become, let's say, more challenging for them to imagine being free or to imagine being abundant or to imagine being happy or to imagine traveling to their family. I mean, all of these things have come on how to put it? They've come under attack only in that you're being told you can't imagine these things.
They've shut us down, right? Shut down our ability to see anything more. They've just put the box in, and it comes back to, if you believe it, Lorenzo and I were chatting beforehand about people who put things on their kids' faces, right? Now that's obviously going to have lasting, ramifications going into the future of this child's experience, but that's a choice, right? So this is, they say, look, okay, this is what we're going to give you. The future that we want is you're all locked down and you wear these things on your faces and that's it, right? We just want to take away more of your imagination. And if you believe that, then that's your reality. That's it. I mean, we see these people, they run around, they're scared, they've got stupid things on their faces, they're stopping their kids breathing. And it's because they're not using their imagination. If they just stopped and thought, but because thinking is using your imagination. It doesn't have to be, creative visualization and going through all these stories and that. Just independent thought is creativity too. If someone says, you need to do this, there's a deadly thing and it's going to kill everyone. If you believe that and react, then you've cut off your creativity. But if you think and go, well, really, what are what can happen? What are they talking about? Can that even be true? That's using your imagination too. So it's everything. And this is education, right? It's really designed to stop us thinking. It's designed to, when we have a question, to go and find authority, right? The authors of the story. Because with the story, you're not imagining anything. So it's all of society, as far as I can see it. And the more we talk about this, it's everything is designed to stop us using our imagination. And more than that, to stop us understanding how powerful it is. Because if we knew and we start creating, they've lost everything. They've lost all power. Their only power is to control our imagination or lack of it.
And if you figure out a focal point for your imagination, even something I've been sitting with now as Campbell's been talking, is where does imagination begin? I bet you 99% of us will think about our brains or our head or between our ears. But if you consider from an intelligent perspective, let's say you're coming up with a new piece of art, or you're coming up with a new engine or a new way to be alive or a new system, probably it would have to start outside of your thought process. Simply because if you think about it, you can't, at the start of anything new, think about what it was, because it wasn't until you brought it into existence as something new. And, as an artist that I am, and as a songwriter, poet, which I also dabble in, all of the new inspirations that come to me are literally that. They're inspirations. They're inspired. They come from spirit, nation inspirations. So they come from a place that has nothing to do with my thought process, right? It comes from somewhere, eventually, you're thinking about your song or you're thinking about a painting, but any great painter or any great writer or any great dancer will tell you they disappear in the process, right? They go into a painting and they come out, they'll go, oh my goodness, it's 12 hours later, or they'll go into a dance and they'll disappear. Or, any sports player will tell you, they react faster than thought because they have to. So you can call it instinct, you can call it what you like, but I think it's an attachment to, 0-point energy, all these things we've discussed, the dark matter that you can't see, the parts of yourself that you can't imagine. Campbell and I touched based on only seeing 10% of energy, using 10% of your brain even. So what's going on with the other parts of yourself, right? The parts of yourself that have nothing to do with what's going on here, right? Where does imagination come from? Why are children seeing things differently? Why do you get feelings in your hearts or your guts or your knees or your back or wherever, or behind you or at the top of you or the side of you? What happens in your dreams? when you get a different idea and you wake up and maybe go, oh my goodness, that's a great idea. I better write that down, or I better create that new car, or, fill in your own blanks, what it is that you're imagining. So from schooling, as Campbell said, and they're trying to take children younger and younger now, right? Take you into school when you're 2, when you're 1, probably start schooling you in the womb soon, through through who knows what kind of crazy technology they're gonna develop. They literally want to grab a young person, boy or girl, grab their imagination and twist it towards what they say is possible. And I mean the people that don't have your best interests at heart. Whether they're aliens or AI or just fat monsters sitting in a political house somewhere, doesn't really matter to me. The bottom line is they grab you and force your consciousness, your awareness, your sight, your eyes, your ability to see and think clearly into a hole of, usually it's getting a job, right, Campbell, or earning some money. We talked about that, or getting married, having 3 kids, retiring when you're 62, and then dying when you're 82. Instead of what else is maybe or potentially possible for your life.
And they give us what to imagine, right? And it starts in school. What are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to be when you grow up? Oh, and then you're this. Oh, okay, you're working towards this, and you got to get your house. And but now it's only 10 years to retirement, and it's like people get there. It's like, oh, what happened to my life? And then, if you're lucky, then you get to imagine, a cruise, right? You get 1 cruise or something in your retirement, and then you die. It's not a very good imagination, is it? I mean, these guys are pretty bad. But this is the thing. It's who we're going to trust. We can have questions, about the world, about what's going on, and we can go to authority, right? We can go and say, well, I'm going to go to someone who I think is an expert, and they're going to give me their opinion, which means they're going to imagine for me, right? Or we can trust ourselves. So I think trust is a big issue. It's like, and again, we're taught to trust authority, not to trust yourself. And especially don't trust yourself if what you're thinking is different to other people, because then you're a weirdo, and then you get ostracized, and the teacher makes you stand in the corner and everyone laughs at you, and you get a big red cross. So it's really programmed into us to not trust ourselves and our own intuition and our own thought process and creativity. So I think, we've really just, and the only way to get that trust is to just trust, right? Give it a go. Like, that's it. Oh, what will happen if I do something different? Maybe I'll try this and see what the outcome is. That's the only way to change, is to trust, right? So it's one of those things. To earn trust, you've got to trust. So I think that's a big thing. We need to understand that our creation, what we see, what we believe, what we, conjure up in our minds, is real, and it's true for us. And that doesn't have to be true for anyone else. If you want to build something different, if you want to write a different book, it has to be different to everyone else, right? If you're thinking the same as everyone else, then you're dead in the water. So, I mean, they've just undermined us so much, and it's self-esteem, it's all this stuff. But we got, and Lorenzo alluded to it, is creativity. Like if you ask someone to draw a brain, right? I mean, to draw a mind, they'll draw a brain. So your mind is not your brain, and your creativity is in your mind. So it comes from somewhere else. It's not a reflection of where we are, right? It's a divine spark almost. It's inspiration. And we only get to hit that inspiration if we trust and if we go into our creativity. If we're trying to live and reflect what's outside of us, then clearly, we can only create what's already been created. As an artist, you can sit and draw a building that's already there, or you can, create something that's never been seen before. So, and creating something that's already been is not really creating, I don't think.
It's reproduction.
Reproduction.
It's reproduction or creating. I mean, that's why it's even in the word reflecting on things, meaning you can only see a reflection of something that's already there, right? You can only consider something that already exists. So, you can change it to be blue or taller or fatter or skinnier or louder or faster, but it seems to be the AI in the world that a lot of us would like to get out of, as in out of the matrix. And, we have a video on that as well, of course, is if you look at their system, it's always, this is twice as fast. Your computer is 3 times faster. Your screen is 10 times brighter. Your breath is 4 times fresher. You'll save 13% instead of 11% if you use our, GICs instead of their GI. But it's always the same. It's always a percentage of something that already exists, and it always gets shinier or better or more taxes or less taxes or less work or more work. But it's always a reflection of something that's already there. Nothing new has come of any of it, right? And that's where the imagination comes in. That's where the new. And I would say for the people that are watching this channel and the huge amount of fans that Campbell has, obviously Autodidactic's got like a huge followership. If you take a moment to consider everything he shared, like I watched, obviously tons of Campbell's videos, and you look at the imagination of what's being put on us, and I don't mean just in your lifetime as well. I mean, go back a few hundred years if you want. If you're a student of history, study the world fairs. Why were they all put in place at one point? Why were they all so similar, right? Why were they everywhere in the world and have a similar feeling? Why were there incubators or incubatoriums or the children? Who knows where they came from? But then it's almost like we had a clean slate at the time, where we came into being. People call it the reset. People call it the orphan trains. People call it whatever they want to call it. But then they had to put in a collective story for people, like a collective imagination, and that's why they had all the world fairs, right? And that's where they were also similar. They go, this is how we do business now. This is what our commerce is like now. This is what our government is like now. This is what our armies are like now. This is what family is like now. This is what you do for your living. These are the 12 options you have for making money, right? These are the 3 ways you can escape from that. Maybe you'll get rich by lottery or killing some, whatever. They give you silly ways that you can escape from the drudges of their imposed slavery. And and then, as Campbell said before as well, then your imagination is beat out of you. Where I'm in Japan, the high nail gets hit on the head is the saying here, or silly things like that. And what does that mean? That it's looked at as a bad thing, but it just means you're thinking for yourself, right? You're looking outside the box. You're deciding on perhaps a different way. And so why? That's a good question for everyone to ask, because we're looking at imagination's playland. Why does that seem so dangerous to the powers that be? Why do they go out of their way time and again in every way possible? You have to look at the other side of why they're spending so much energy on one side, killing your own imagination, and on the other side, trying to give you a story, a different imagination.
Yeah, because we're so powerful. Is really the answer. I mean, it's imagination is everything, and we're creators, right? And we're from the creation, so we're an imagination, right? When you look at it that way, we're an imagination of God, and we have that same power to imagine creating new things. But the World's Fair, this is the thing, clean slate, and they just introduce, here's your parameters, here's your box. Okay, go ahead. Look, you can move around you can look how much movement you've got in your box. Just don't go outside the walls. And in Australia, it's not really used so much anymore, but back in the day, we had like tall poppy syndrome, which is the same kind of thing. And we used to call it tall poppy. So like when someone stands up and, you see them above everyone else, everyone wants to chop them back down to the same height as everyone else, right? And this is a built-in mechanism, right? I call it like the Mr. Smith complex. From the Matrix, right? Where everyone's they're Mr. Smith. You think they're nice people, but you say the wrong thing and they change. They turn into Mr. Smith and they start trying to keep you back where you should be with the collective. How dare you try and do something different? Oh my God, was that imagination? You're evil. And everyone does this, right? You start speaking, I want to do this. This is my plans. I'm going to build this. And people, if they can't see it, they believe it's not true. And they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And so it's built in that they pull you back, right? As soon as you want to do something different, you are different, right? You're ostracized. You're made to feel like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. I have to go out on my own. It's so scary. I've got no support. But I think that's actually the place of power, because if you can go through that and then you understand that, oh, I can create. I don't need to rely on anyone. I've actually got everything I need. At that point, it's like, well, so the system can't offer me anything at all, and then you're free, right? So it's such a nefarious trap, isn't it? It actually only works if we believe it. All we've got to do, it's back to this trust thing. Think a bit differently, try something different, and see what happens. But the programming to just do that is so strong, isn't it? To just step outside and do something different. even say something different, even say that you want something different. The programming is so strong that they just want to keep pulling you back. So this is the thing at the moment, you know, the system's collapsing, right? So it's what do you want? Want to imagine something better, or do you want to go along with their crappy imagination, right?
You know,
That's
and
all
they're
it is.
just, you know, yeah, and they're just changing a system, right? They're collapsing a
Yeah.
system. You know, they're trying to impose a new way to see and be and move. So if you don't, it's like use it or lose it, basically.
Mm.
So it's your imagination. We are made of imagination. We are imagination fields. This is all my opinion. You know, you can take it or leave it the way what I'm suggesting here. And we can't help but live through our imagination. I think it's our birthright. So if you're not using your imagination, it's going to be used for you, right? If you're not using your time, it's going to be used for you, right? If you're not deciding what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, it's going to be decided for you, all of it. You know, what you eat, where you live, how you breathe, the language you speak, you know, even what your words mean or what they don't mean, what's possible, what's not possible. I mean, I had some interesting conversations from our last Cuckold by Currency with a few people on emails that got angry with me when in their emails when I said, look, maybe you missed the point on our chat. It wasn't about gold or money or digital or bananas, as Campbell said. It had nothing to do with any of those things. It was about you getting, in some ways, we were talking about this, picking up what your real currency is, which I would say it's imagination, and not allowing anyone to have control over it because it's yours. And, you know, even that alone would piss some people off because they want an outside source to coddle them. You know, they want to know the gold in the bank is worth money, or their dollars are going to save them somehow or help them with their health, because what all that boils down to, again, and we'll maybe get a chance to pull in all the chats we've had, it's about responsibility, right? You take responsibility for your health, you take responsibility for your wealth, you take responsibility for your imagination, for your day-to-day, for your job, for your work, for your love, for your heart. Fill in the rest of your own blanks here. And that's a scary prospect, in that no one can tell you, if you want to change your life towards something you would love to do, how to do that. You have to figure it out for yourself. And with that, guess what you get to use? Your imagination. And maybe not here, right? See, even Campbell, it's a tick, right? Me too. I almost went,
I
like,
know,
you know,
right?
maybe it's your heart.
That's
Maybe
your
it's over
brain,
here.
yeah.
Maybe it's from your dreams. Maybe it'll come from a book you read. Maybe it'll come from a friend. Who knows? Like, you have to be open. Imagination is literally endless. So if you're open, you never know how you're going to be inspired.
Yeah, and keep learning, right? I mean, how's that? We're programmed too, right? That's brain, not mind. That's actually head, but yeah, this is the thing, right? We're taught that it's all kept in there because they kind of want us to believe that your imagination comes from all the information that they've given you, right? I mean, it's a scam again. It's not creating; it's just recreating. So yeah, imagination is the way forward. Like when we talked about currency, it was definitely about everything we've been taught about money and currency and value and all this kind of stuff. Wealth. It's all from them. It's all from the system. They've given us those parameters. So if we're trying to go forward and build value on those principles, all we're doing is rebuilding their crappy, you know, imagination, what they want. So and another point on that is, it's like you said, this is a path, right? You've got to figure it out yourself. We can sort of say that, you know, imagination is great, but we can't imagine for you. And I hear it all the time. It's like, you know, you tell someone, oh, well, this is possible, or I'm going to do this, or I want to do this, and rah. And you always get, oh, well, that's not possible. Or, you know, you get all these excuses of why it's not possible, which for one is just that person telling you what they believe. So it's got nothing to do with you. If someone's talking to you like that, they're just telling you about themselves. But two is, you know, people just, because they can't believe it and because they won't take the steps, they think that it's not possible for anyone, right? And so literally in their reality, they're not creating, they won't take that step. And so every result they get is from not creating, right? From following the line. So we've got to understand that these people don't have imagination left. Like this whole thing is, and it's the same thing, you can't go back to anyone, right? Imagination only comes from you. You can't go and and talk to someone and say, what should I imagine? Or what, even like all this coaching, what should I want? The best coaches will say, well, I don't know. You tell me what makes you happy. They'll ask you. So if anyone's giving you anything, that they're just stifling your imagination, they're putting you in a box, and they're going to be very happy about it, because you're the one that pays the price. This is where the ultimate sort of scam is. You've got to live your life, right? You've got to live your life based on whatever decisions you make, and whether you believe you can change the world and create or not, you've still got to live that life. So, take a chance, right? Instead of being pissed off and saying, why, oh, poor little me, I've never got enough, oh, blah, blah, blah. Trust. Just say, well, what would happen if I lived differently for a day or a week, and see what happens? Because it's like Lorenzo said, once we tune in to that power, and it is a power, everything just starts to change. We've seen people that something happens and they just skyrocket off somewhere, and everyone's like, what happened? They just use their imagination and they started believing, and that's it.
It comes down to responsibility. We've talked about that too, in that I never mean to be cruel or mean when I've shared in some of the videos that, again, I've done with Campbell as well, when if there are bad things in your life or horrible things in your life or your health, even if bad things continue to happen to you, it's your responsibility. And I don't mean it's your fault. Okay. Like if a bully keeps coming and hitting you, let's say, and you're going to school, of course, it's not your fault the bully's bullying you, right? So I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. But if you take responsibility for being there, maybe you change schools, maybe you change jobs, maybe you change the people you talk to, maybe you change your way of talking. Maybe you have a funny look on your face, so people are reacting to that. I used to have mean looks on my face that I didn't know about till my friends kept telling you, why do you smile already? When you don't smile, people think you're a mean son of a bitch, right? And I'm going, really? And then I started doing videos now, I've been doing it for a couple of years, noticing, I go, oh my goodness, but you get that scowl maybe in growing up in school, you get the 100-yard stare from like being in jail, like prison culture, I think we've gone through. So I think you put that, I grew up in a big city, so I think you put that on to protect yourself, right? Oh, better look mean or I'm going to get mugged, downtown Toronto where I grew up, or, some drug guy's going to come out of the alleyway, and take all my money, or, your imagination tells you from the news and I grew up in those cop shows of the 70s and 80s where supposedly, there was always someone in the dumpster waiting with a gun to come and steal your wallet or what, so, again, another part of imagination that was put into you. So by taking responsibility for, let's say, even the harsh sexual predator things, I'm going to go on a bit of a limb here. No, it's not your fault if someone does something to you physically, but maybe if you can see how to take responsibility for the hardest things in your life, what I'm basically saying is you will see how you can take responsibility for changing them somehow. Whatever that is for you. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but again, it might be a change in relationships. It might be a change in vocation. It might be a change in what you do every day, right? It might be a change in how you are every day. It might be a change in who you are every day or how you make your money. But again, it's up to your imagination. So if you decide it's your fault, and people hate that, then you also get the responsibility and the power for changing the circumstances, and that's why I say it, not to be mean, but that's where your power is. It's in the hardest, most painful, deepest, stinkiest, most ridiculous experiences of your life, in my opinion, that you have the power to use your imagination to pick up those pieces and then perhaps change by going in the opposite direction from what brought you to those unkind places, whatever they are for you. And like Campbell and I, we have our hub here, and I'm going to mention it again. We're going to do Freedom Shift after this. We're going to play our little ad. We promise this time we'll get it out. And the reason I'm mentioning that is it's not because we want you to come join us, because we do, and it's not because it's not going to cost you some currency, because it will. It's more like we've come from where we've come from, Campbell and I, and the people that we're working. So we know what it's like to start with nothing, let's say, to have no imagination, and to be given the gift of a spot where you can use your imagination to grow whatever, your community, your business, your products, your services, yourself, your heart, your wealth, your writing skills, your video skills, fill in your own blank here, your music, working with people. So by realizing that maybe you have an imagination, and by admitting to your own responsibility, maybe it's not working so well, that's fine. You can, start jumping on the other end to help that to grow for you by deciding you're going to take some actions towards rectifying whatever it is needs, you got the word rectal in there on purpose, right? Whatever you need to take out of your whatever you need to take out of your ass, clean up,
get off your
it,
ass.
yeah, take it out of your ass and put it somewhere nicer and see where that takes your life. I have a strong feeling from my own experience it's all possible.
Yeah, and I would also just add, be very careful what you're putting into your mind.
We were just talking about both ends, actually. Be very careful what you put into both ends.
Between the cheeks at both ends. Yeah, like there's so much crap obviously on TV and movies and all this stuff. Horror movies. I've never watched horror movies in my life because I refuse to put that into my mind. I don't want to be remembering that kind of stuff when I'm lying in bed. So, be very careful, because a lot of people watch horror movies and then they tell me, "Oh, I've got all these thoughts I can't get out of my head," and I'm like, well, there's a pretty good, easy solution to that. You just don't watch them. And I'm not saying if you enjoy them and it's not a problem, I'll watch them. And Lorenzo put his hand up.
I used to watch them all the time.
Halloween.
I used to watch Halloween.
In the 80s, they were everywhere. Halloween, Friday the 13th, like these slasher movies, and they were all pretty much like middle-aged men killing like teenagers and college-age children, wasn't it? It was.
I had that original Halloween hanging in my house for a while. And then how I used my imagination, though, a friend of mine at the time said, why do you like these movies? Why are you watching all these horror movies? Why are you going? Like I watched them all, like all the ones Campbell mentioned, I used to go to in my 20s. And then he said, well, maybe you're trying to understand the monsters that are living in your mind. We could say the alien parasites, the non-human directional pieces of garbage that are hijacked. Like, who is hijacking our imagination? We haven't really talked about that. What is hijacking? Who are the powers behind the powers of these lazy, fat, slothy politicians, which are obviously too stupid to be in charge? If you meet any of them, or if you look at any, somebody's giving them their directions. And so, maybe if you are watching the horror movies, now, and you're having bad dreams, maybe you're doing it to learn something about your conscious imagination or your unconscious imagination. Or like, I don't watch them anymore because I have the same feeling. I'm done with them, but I used to, and I see now it was probably to understand what I've been personally invaded by, maybe the slasher, energetic garbage monsters of the AI matrix, Mr. Smith, call it what you will, so that I could, now use that for my new imagination, realizing I don't want to imagine those things.
Yeah, and a good point is all those movies and all that stuff, that's, the controllers, right? The Archon's imagination. So it shows what they're about. But yeah, I mean, basically in the end, we have, we're the creators, and it comes down to, if you don't believe it, it's all to do with belief. And I know people don't like the word belief sometimes, but belief is good if you put it in the right place, right? If you believe that you're awesome, well, belief is good. So this is all about belief, right? What do you believe? Because if you believe you're a creator and you get to build whatever you want, and you've got the energy, whatever it takes, you'll get it done, then that's what you're going to do. If you believe, oh no, I'm not a creator, I'm just stuck in this job, poor little me, look at this, no money, everyone's pushing me down, well, that's what you're going to experience too. It's 100% belief, because belief is imagination. Belief is imagination. So when you're believing that nothing is possible apart from your dead-end job, that's what you're imagining. You're imagining yourself getting up and going to work, and the boss yelling at you, and oh my God, and doing this in 20 years, and hopefully you'll get that's what you're imagining. So imagine something better, and everything will change. And just start walking down the path. Happens. And the other thing, you don't need to have a grand vision. You don't need to see the house you want to live in every detail. And oh my God, the taps are this color, and this wallpaper in this room is this. And you just need to start. You just need to say, you can literally start with, I want something better, and just start walking, because as you do that, your imagination will grow, and the things that you believe are possible will start flowing in. And again, I believe this, it's like Lorenzo said, this is because imagination is linked to what whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, the field. That's what this imagination is. It's this energy coming in. We get to, see it as we want to, and then we get to transmute it and bring it into the physical plane. Like, this is what's happening. So yeah, the first thing is just believe, just give it a go. Believe something different and give it a go. Spend a week. What happens if I spend all day saying every day in every way things are getting better and better, and you start seeing yourself with with whatever you feel you're lacking, friends or wealth or whatever, a better place to live. Just start imagining it and see what happens, because the one thing is nothing will change if you don't start. And if you start and you talk yourself out of it and stop, nothing will change. You got to go for it and give it a bit of, got to give it a chance. It's not going to come out and be happy, and it's not going to be easy. When you want something different, it's going to be different. And we're taught to believe that different things are hard. I've never done this before, so it must be hard. Well, that could be a belief system, guys.
Yeah, keep trying, and eventually it's not so hard. I'm learning Japanese. You know how it looked to me 10 years ago? Oh my goodness, it looked like an impossibility of digging through that language. And now I'll walk down the street and I'll understand a few things and I'll hear a few things and I'll go, oh, isn't that interesting, right? And it's allowed my brain to become more elastic, later on in my life, by picking up a language that's very different from the Latin-based English and all of the other languages I've known a little bit about. And the reason I'm mentioning this is, a little bit on what Campbell said about the job, right? If you hate your job, most people, the only thing they can imagine is a different job, right? I don't like working for this, the manufacturing company. I'm going to go work for this one. Or I don't like working, for these guys. Maybe, I won't be an electrician. I'll be a plumber instead, or fill in the blanks for what it is for you. And it's not the point. It could help if you change, but the point really is to imagine what you would like your life to look like. And if you don't have the energy to imagine something different yet, but you want to, that's the best place to start. Imagine having more energy. Maybe you eat better. Maybe you sleep more. Maybe you meditate. Maybe you rest more. Maybe you exercise more. Maybe you indulge less in alcohol if you do, or cannabis if you do, or whatever. And so that could be, you can't say, oh my goodness, I don't have an imagination. I'm just too tired at the end of the day. That's okay. I've been there too. So imagine having 10 minutes or 5 minutes to use your imagination, or to get a little extra sleep, whatever it is. You can always take one step, even if you're too sick to even get out of bed. You can still probably get out of bed and take a few steps to the window and open the window and get some sunshine and fresh air, and let that help you a little bit. It's a metaphor for life. So if you do that, because you can't imagine more, at least you can imagine how to get a little more for the next step, and then trust, because that's part of it as well. Of course, Campbell said that as well. You have to trust yourself will allow more to come for you, or to you, or through you.
Yeah, that's definitely how it works. It's like if you're sick people in bed, the first thing they have to do is imagine something different. That's like, if they want to get out of bed, they have to imagine themselves getting out of bed. And it's because everything here, down in this realm, everything is created twice. Everything first has to be created in your imagination. If we can't, and we know this, right? This, when you sort of say this kind of stuff, everyone's like, yeah, duh. But we don't really live like this, do we? We kind of know it, but we don't live it. That everything has to be imagined before it can be done. So it's the starting point of everything. So imagine something different, and you can experience something different. And I just say, yeah, go with it. Just trust yourself. Understand that the naysayers are going to say that's wrong, but also understand that they're just telling you what their belief system is. That's all that is. And you can go, great, yep, that's fine. You can stay where you want. That's no worries. Understand that you're living your life and they're living theirs, and you're not here to save anyone. They're not here to save you. We're all here to experience life and to be creators and to create things, and then to interact with our creations. That's it. So, the system's collapsing. We're in the, new age, all this stuff. So a lot of what we've been talking about, recently in our chats is, that's what we need to focus on, is something different, right? If we focus on what we've got, then all we can get is more of the same. So going into this new earth that we keep talking about is really about creativity, imagination. What do you want to, what's the best life that you can imagine? What's the best life, what do you want to experience? Start imagining that. and you'll get inspirations of how to do it. You know, it's like if you're lying in bed and it's like, I just want to stand up, you know, because I'm so sick, you'll start getting inspiration. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And that will lead you to what you want. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Believe in yourself, trust, and just do it. Just do it.
I'm going to tie it all up by saying, as an example, look at this Odyssey of Truth Campbell and I have done. We must be on 16, maybe 18. And it was just my imagination. One day I said, Odyssey of Truth. Hit me as an imagination. Campbell, what do you think? He said, good idea. What are we going to do? We don't know. No idea. That, you know, one step at a time, and then the next led to the next, and the imagination built over time. In fact, even as we're finishing this up, the next one I would like to do with Campbell is Beyond the Known. I'll hit him with that one right now. It's just, I said, you know, because it sounds like, you know, a new world, something new beyond what you know, it's imagination. Maybe we'll do that for, you know, a tie-in or a tie-up, or to launch beyond what we've done so far. But what I'm basically saying is that came through to my imagination while we're talking about imagination. It's nothing that I thought about. It just kind of was a natural flow of this new direction that Campbell and I are sharing with each other. And now we're sharing with you. And once again, there'll be a link to freedomshift.life below. We'll have a little ad after. There will for sure be a little ad in here for you to see. And if you want to talk to myself or Campbell as we're available, or some of the other lovely people that are helping us with Freedom Shift, please leave your contact. You know, we'll get back to you. Be patient. It's getting very busy for us. And if you have any ideas for future shows, any questions, any ideas, we're very open to intelligent and loving feedback.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, just go forward and imagine the best life that you can imagine, and then just put the first step into action and see what happens. And the biggest thing is, don't listen to other people. Don't look at the system. Don't recreate something that's already been created, because that's not, you know, you're a creator. You're put here to create. You're not a recreator. So get out there and create, trust, and see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, seriously, what's the worst? I mean, people try, they start businesses, and a lot of them fail. I mean, the people don't die, they don't get cancer. They normally live and they try something different. You know, it's not like the end of the road. Like, people just think, if I fail, oh my God. Look, if you fail, you've just found another way that doesn't work. It doesn't really matter. You just imagine something better. And I understand as well that it's not going to be necessarily really easy, but if you follow the course, you'll find that living life through imagination is much easier in the long run, and definitely much more fun.
Yeah, you know, the worst that's going to happen is going to happen anyways. Everyone dies,
Exactly.
or so I've been told. So the worst is going to happen. You know,
maybe
who knows?
Just imagine that too.
Yeah,
who knows?
probably we have. I would guess good. You know, maybe a chat for another time, because we can go into many hours of different kind of perspectives and studies I've done. But I think probably we do just imagine that because we get tired of, you know, living in, eventually you get tired of living in the toilet of a life, if you pardon my puns, and you just want to start again. So maybe you imagine yourself into a new dream, and then you die, right? And then you come back. But again, maybe a metaphysical talk for Beyond the Known. We'll get to that later. I want to thank you all so much for being here. You know, maybe my only claim to fame is I never liked anybody telling me what to do. As Campbell said, I would never allow them to. So here I am, having been the most stubborn man in the world, sharing with you, you know, I think you can do it. You can be imaginative, you can be creative, and you can have a happy, abundant, loving, and free life if you're ready to put in the work.
Yeah, be stubborn, stand up for your imagination and your creativity, believe in it, you know. Think of it like your child, because it really is, right? We create children, we create everything. So stand up and have its back. Don't just, you know, say, oh, this is my creation, and someone says that sucks, and you're like, oh, sorry. No, it sucks for them. It doesn't suck for you. So just believe in yourself, and let's go forward. And this is how we create, right? We're talking about creating the new world. So let's imagine it and then go forward and create it. And stick around. There will actually be a little bit of a chat. So if you watched the last video, sorry, I think I forgot to attach our little end bit to the video. But we'll put that up as a separate video so you can check it out and hang around. It may even be on the end of this video.
Yep.
Hang around and listen to us have a bit of a chat.
I love you all very much. Thank you for joining us on our Odyssey of Truth again. We'll be back again with another one very soon. Campbell, once again, it's been a genuine pleasure. Bye for now.
Lorenzo. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll talk to you all soon. And join Telegram, hit the links, all that kind of stuff. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Freedom Shift. We're so happy you finally made it here. Campbell's in his background with the lovely waterfall. I'm in Japan with the sun coming through the window. We wanted to discuss the real reason we started Freedom Shift, the real reason we'd like to see you join us, the real reasons we'd like to get together is we feel loving people, doing loving things, helping each other to a loving way to make their currency strong, flowing, well, happy, and healthy, and all of those things are why we're doing what we're doing and why we are here. What do you think, Campbell?
The world's changing, isn't it? And we've got a choice in front of us. You know, we can choose to try and continue the system that we had for 2,000 years that, you know, pretty much destroyed the economy, destroyed people, destroyed nature. Or we can try something different, right? We can go out on our own and try something different because, you know, as we know, if we try and build something off the old system, it's going to have bad foundations. It's rotten, right? That stuff is it's rotten and it's not going to work. So yeah, we definitely need to go out there and create new things, you know, new ways of doing things, new systems, creating new products, right? To replace what's falling, because as we know, everything's falling, right? Banks are gone, medical's gone, education's gone. So, I mean, it's an opportunity, right? They're all falling and they need to be replaced. So we can look at it in either way we want.
Come to the new agora.ca. Check out some of the hubs we have going. I'm there, Campbell's there. There's some other people are there. There's a lot of other people joining us. The way I find it and the way I feel is I've been in the rat race. We've all been in it. You know, Campbell's had his jobs. I've had my jobs in the financial industry. And I think it would be good to be working with people where if you're sick one day or you're tired one day or you're distracted because your family's busy one day, someone's not going to come in and steal things out from under you, take advantage, or do something else that's dastardly unfriendly. The only people we're going to allow in to work with us are intelligent, loving folks that have something unique, beautiful, and authentically helpful to offer the world. We're setting up a network. We have a focus going on with the new agora.ca hub. Campbell and I have a focus going on with the information we're sharing. I'm discussing lovely things with so many lovely people. Come and join us, have a chat. We'll leave the links below, freedomshift.life. Someone will get back to you. Click the link, leave your information. One of us will get back to you, and we'll see if there's a possibility for the ways that we can grow, work, and help each other in our mutual understanding of how we can have a good life. You've got to do something. You know, don't contact us if you want us to do something for you. You know, we're not going to pick up your ass and move you somewhere new. We're basically setting up a system where we can each pick up our own butts and move them to where we would like them to be. Whether it's, you know, better ways to be alive for your health, your wealth, where you're living, your heart, your community, your currency. There's all kinds of ways we can help each other to a better place without having to use the monster beast or otherwise unloving system that's, as Campbell mentioned, has been out there falling even as we speak.
Yeah. And the truth is, you know, we don't know what's happening. We don't know, you know, what's going to happen in the next 10 years. We don't. No one does. But we're doing it anyway. Right? We know that we want change. We know we don't want to continue this old system. We know we want something different. We know we can build something different. You know, we've got all the answers, right? So that's our attitude. And that's what we're looking for. You know, we're going to be on the front edge, going out there, creating new things, and we need to understand that we're going to make mistakes. We could stuff up lots of things, but they're just mistakes. That's it. Right? It's just saying, oh, you did that wrong. Try it a different way. So, you know, this is what we're looking for. We need pioneers, right? I mean, no explorers go out, you know, exploring a country and they sort of hit their first river and they're like, well, that's a bit hard. We better go home. No, you work out how to get over it and you keep going. So that is what we're doing here. You know, we're looking and we're going to be creating this new system as we go along. And we need some amazing people. So if that's you and you want to be involved, click the link below, get in contact, and we will let you know what we're up to and see if we've got something that fits your lifestyle.
Yeah, we're delighted to help you out. If you want something, we have some suggestions. If you have something, we have some ways to get there. If you need some help figuring that out, we have some people that can help you with that too. If you want to create some content and that's something you want to do, we can help you and put you, you know, as far as what we know is working in the right direction. And eventually when you're ready, polished and smooth, you know, maybe Campbell and I can even release you to our audiences, so to speak. When it's time and you're ready to be at the forefront and, you know, warts and all, as Campbell said, when you're ready to go over that first river, even though it's hard, and to move from that spot to the next, you know, we're willing to work with you as long as you're willing to work with yourself.
Indeed. Let's go forward and make this new world, guys. Click the link below, freedomshift.life.
Can't make me lie to my No one tells me where I should start. Freedom first is what I say.